You know, for a very cheap-looking film, this was actually really fucking good.
Well, let me look at the budget. You keep talking. Let me go look at how much the budget was for these movies, because I know they probably don't pass $12 million.
So, hi guys, welcome to the podcast. And welcome back to our Halloween Spectacular. We're on our 4th episode for this year of 2021. So,
Happy Death Day for 4 million, or the second one was, budget was $4.8 million.
Damn.
I know they never make a budget above 12 million for Blumhouse. I know that's a fair fact.
Anyway, so yeah, today on our 4th episode of the Halloween Spectacular, we are going to be talking about the Happy Death Day franchise. Even though there's
Two
only
movies, yeah.
I consider it a franchise because whatever. Like, if they make more, they make more. If not,
weird,
whatever.
Crazy, self-aware bullshit. That's probably just its own little flurry of stuff. So this is sci-fi or...
Yeah, but it's an interesting concept.
The other one...
So yeah, there's 2 movies in this franchise. The first, Happy Death Day, and then Happy Death Day to You. Mm-hmm. Which is basically the second movie. Mm-hmm. So, honey, why don't you tell them what this is about? Like the movies.
It's about a girl
named Tree.
Well, I never remembered names from anything, to be honest.
I remember her because it's literally
girl.
Tree.
Yeah, it's Tree. That's sort of much it. Remind me of any names. So it's about Tree who keeps on waking up at the same day, Groundhog Day, except someone kills her at the end of the day. So she tries to figure out why she's in this time loop of endless murder. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, and that's the gist for both movies.
That's the gist for both movies. And they just keep creating time loops and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, here, like, okay, I know this is supposed to not make any fucking sense because time travel stories are always
kind of funky.
Funky all the time. Even the best ones are some plot holes happen. I don't know. It's weird. But that's we're not here to analyze time travel movies or
we're just here to talk about this movie.
Fictional.
These 2 movies.
Yeah. What you think about it, or what was your impressions? Because you said you saw the trailers beforehand.
Yeah.
And tell you this, it did not receive a good trailer reaction. Everybody thought that this was dumbest
Let me
thing.
explain. So we're gonna basically talk about the first movie, the second movie, and then both as a whole, and then we'll go from there, and then eventually we'll get to our rating. So.
And then we'll get to Freaky, and we'll just decide who's, the best written movie.
But we'll do that later. Anyway, so, I originally saw these trailers when they came out, and I thought, oh, this is like a cheap-looking-ass movie. And stuff like that.
It didn't look any different from, any other...
It didn't look...
Witch Upon or Truth or Dare or stuff like that. It didn't look any different from any of those.
To me, it just didn't look interesting. I thought it was just going to be
Happy Death Day. You die on your birthday, yeah.
I just thought it was going to be people just dying on their birthdays.
I'm sure that there's other things like that.
I don't know. To me, it just didn't look interesting from the title.
The fucking song that it's your birthday, and I was like, okay, I don't think, I think that ultimately gave me the bad movie vibe. That the fact that
this is gonna suck.
This is gonna suck so bad. It's gonna be one of those majorly horror fans criticize this movie because it's legit bad, terribly acted. Again, it's dealing with high school or college age people.
Basically, that's what I thought it was going to be.
No character or anything, and just people thought it was going to suck. And
yeah,
I'll tell you this right now, I don't think that this is highly praised all that much.
Which is kind of disappointing, because let me explain. So, that's kind of how I felt about the first trailer, and then I found out a year or so later that they made a second one. I'm like, how the fuck did this do 2 movies?
Because it's successful and Blumhouse can do anything. They can sell you anything. Blumhouse? What are you talking about? Blumhouse? You act like Blumhouse hasn't made terrible movies.
No, it doesn't. But I didn't know it was made by them until, you showed me this movie.
I never showed you this movie. I just
until now.
recommended it on our little...
Yeah, because...
I've heard mixed things about it.
But yeah, to me it didn't seem that appealing, the first or the second trailer. So
you just thought it was like very memeable.
Yeah, or average. But then honestly, I was completely wrong. It actually is pretty creative. And it's interesting. I'm honestly surprised at how good these movies were, in my opinion.
The first movie is for me. The second one...
The first one was honestly really good.
The first one, it was good. Second one, I can actually live without it.
Yeah, but I still think both are good. But honestly, I think both are good in their own rights. But I'll get into that in a second. But basically, first movie, in my opinion, I was honestly surprised at how good it was. Like, it did some interesting stuff. Like, it got repetitive a little bit, but at, like, the first 20 minutes, you're kind of just like, okay, this is fucking boring. But then after, like, the 20-minute mark...
It wasn't boring for me. It was just like, okay,
well, it's like...
we're following a kind of dickish girl. And I was like, okay, fine. I guess I could get behind that as long as she gets karma'd.
But she
gets humbled really quickly.
Yeah, but also, she... actually gets character development, and it makes you start to like her by the end of it. And it's like, fuck, I didn't think this was gonna be that character driven, and I didn't think she was honestly gonna get development. And I'm surprised she did, but
development than the second one did. And the second one just tried to throw so much shit at the wall to see what sticked. This one,
the first
had
one,
a plot. Oh, I mean the second one, they both had a plot, but this one has more of a
resolution to it.
More steps where it wants to go, and I think it succeeds. The other one's just all over the place, doesn't know where one is from its ass, you know?
Yeah. Like, to me, the first, I can agree with you, like, you can live without the second one, but I feel like both...
I feel like it could have been a stronger movie. The second one could have been a lot more stronger if they would have just...
explored it better.
Would have just, like, I don't know, done an anthology or something.
Yeah,
it kind of is, but at the same time,
it's not really
the same girl, and I just don't think that she was strong in the second movie as much as she was. In
the first one, she built her fucking character development up like pretty well, and I was surprised.
She was a good actor.
But
I gotta look at the actress who plays her, see if she's done any more roles.
But basically, in my opinion, I gotta start this up.
Oh my god, you're going back over there.
I'm just moving.
During our little... Oh my god, Mari, you're gonna...
just fixing that.
Okay. Jessica Rose. That's her name.
But anyway, sorry about that.
Oh, she was in La La Land. I don't know. She wasn't the main character.
She's gotta be... She's in a couple different movies. But something She's
on MTV.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, I'm honestly surprised at how good these movies were. Mm-hmm. For it being low budget, and even though it is from Blumhouse, they did some pretty interesting stuff with this movie, and I'm kind of surprised they did. It's just one of those movies, like, you don't expect it to go anywhere, but it's actually really good. I just feel like the first one's really good. Second one... it's not as good as the first one, but it's good in its own way, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I kind of see... basically, the second one is literally a continuation of what happened in the last story. Like, not like several months later. This is literally happens, like, the day after. Like, everything happened. Mm-hmm. And it's like... they add some plot stuff that I feel like... I was surprised they actually went into with it. And I think it's one of those things to where I don't really consider it like a second movie. I kind of consider it as like an AU of that one movie. I don't consider it like... it's like What If from like Marvel, where they like, what if this happened? What if this happened? Kind of thing, and they go into it. I feel like that's kind of...
you're comparing it to a show that you never watched.
But the concept of it, not the show, but the concept.
Well, you could just say, like, any anthology show where just follows different people or different scenarios or something like that.
But anyway.
And I think it's just playing on, hey, we have the rights to Groundhog's Day, so let's use the rights to Groundhog's Day. But
I feel like it's one of those things where
Groundhog's Day is public domain.
Yeah.
The idea of it.
But here's the thing. Like, it's not as good as the first movie, but I feel like it's good in its own way. I feel like this is what they would have done if certain things didn't work out with the main characters. I feel like this is what would have happened if she ended up not being in that same timeline. I think it's basically just them exploring other ideas regarding what could have happened in the first movie.
Yeah. I think the second movie suffers from the fact that you built up the relationships, and I feel like you're just treading water with the second one. Yeah, you're not really adding anything new besides the mother aspect, and really, it was just like average. Well, you gotta let go of some things, and I just didn't think you're gonna let go of your mother for some guy that you
probably might end up not being with.
I know, and I don't care, people, whatever, have priorities and stuff like that, and like, I'm just saying, not the strongest story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not the strongest story, and I don't think it was really, that's why I just don't think it's really needed. I think what you had in the first movie with that actress and her
was good enough.
Relationships with, I don't know.
It didn't need a second one, surprisingly, but I think the first one was enough. But for the second one, I'm just surprised they went in the way they did. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a perfect story, but it's something to where I don't really consider it a quote-unquote sequel. I consider it as like an alternate timeline. And I agree with you on what you were saying and stuff. If they were gonna do like a sequel in a sense to this, they should have just done it with like a completely different character and cast, like they did at the fucking beginning of the movie. They did it with the other guy. Why didn't they just stick with his story?
Because he's probably not that interesting with the character. He was actually kind of annoying, so I would have sat through a movie with him, I'll tell you that.
Or like they could have done it with like an entirely different cast. Like example, I'm gonna use Final Destination as an example. Every movie, they had a different cast. Yeah, I would have. They had a completely different
Final Destination, the movie, because like, wasn't the whole point? How many times can a character die in like weird ways?
But I'm gonna just say, like, but they didn't have the same characters except in the second.
But it can't go as graphic as Final Destination because it's not art.
I know that, but let me finish. Like, it's similar to Final Destination to where they could have had different characters like they did in all those movies, minus the fact that Tony Todd's character was in almost all of those movies, and the first
Tony Todd being the devil, you know.
Yeah, and then the first girl from the first movie was in the second movie. But other than that, they could have literally gotten away with doing something similar. Not like how Final Destination did it, but they could have done an entirely new cast, but same premise kind of thing. Or they could have done like
make Final Destination. I bet that they, you know what, Blumhouse is probably going to remake Final Destination if they had the idea to.
I don't know.
And fucking Tony Todd's gonna make a fucking cameo, and everyone's gonna lose their shit, and like, cause we're all about revamping things that probably don't need it.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I feel like it's there,
but I feel they could have done better.
A starting point for them to branch out into new ideas. Cause what it like you take basic formulas from other movies that are successful and they're easy to follow and they work enough, and you take them and you do something new with them. Yeah. And
that's what they should have done with the second one.
What they're focused on is just having a very light sense of light sense of humor about it, and adding as much like color to it as possible. Like, that's their selling point.
Yeah, and here's another thing I do want to mention, and then we can talk about it. But so since we both know the first one is better than the second, and I know you like the first one better, do you feel like the second should have, like, do you feel like the second one is good in its own right, or do you feel like they just shouldn't have made it in the first place?
I feel like it would have been better with a different story.
And a different cast.
Yeah, would have gone with the same cast, just
different story.
Be better written. Like, I would want to retread the same thing. I would want to retread, like, just characters that I don't find interesting. Tree's the most interesting character out of every single one of them, and they're not given much to do. So either give the other characters something to do,
or don't make a second movie.
Don't make it with the same cast. Like, that's the problem. I didn't even find that, but I only found like Tree interesting in all these movies, and the rest were just kind of like side characters doing their bits.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Like, honestly, if that's probably what they should have done, and I'm surprised they honestly didn't go with that route. But
yeah, I'd rather watch.
Maybe they were just trying to do. I don't know what the reason could have been, and I don't think we're ever gonna know the reason. But
I don't know. I'm not in the writer's head.
But regardless,
they're just like, oh shit, it's fun. Just fucking have fun, you donuts. Like,
yeah, and I don't care if I have to point this out, but I do think this was a nice touch in the first movie that they actually have a gay character in the movie, even though they don't really go in depth with him.
They don't do anything with him. They
but
just we like, you're gay, and he just shows up for a cameo in the second movie. That's it.
But I still thought that was nice.
You're gay. That's it.
But I like that they actually had that in the first movie, and I thought that was nice.
What about the relationships with the relationships that
they did in the second one?
Tree had with like other people.
Like, well, in the first one, I thought it was interesting how she ended up basically getting together with Carter and stuff. But then after, like, that whole thing happened, we get to see, I guess, her interactions with the other characters. And I feel like, at least by the end of this movie, they at least had some kind of conclusion with it. In a sense. Like, they actually had a conclusion where someone else is doing this shit and they're not doing it. So, would I be... Okay, so one question I do want to ask. Do you think they should make a third movie? And if so, do you think it would work? Or do you think they're just kind of done?
I think they're kind of done. I think they want to... If they want to move on to other projects, then that's not any of my business. I think Happy Death Day, it was a fun little trope while it lasted. I think there's other things that you could be... Other stories.
Or you could just connect two different universes together.
I don't want that. I as much as I would, that would be... Yeah.
Too much.
You're doing too much at the same time. I would just rather have just something that's like doesn't have to be connected. It's just on its own merits.
Yeah. Okay, so I will...
I don't really think that, like, you know, it could... A horror anthology should be fun. It should be fun. It shouldn't be like, you know... It
shouldn't be creepy
or
going over the edge.
Bullshit. Like, don't do the Stephen King thing again.
Yeah.
Don't bring the giant turtle into this.
What? What do you mean giant turtle?
Yeah, you need to read Stephen King stuff.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Okay, but... Something I do want to ask you about when it comes to these movies and stuff. Do you feel like this is one of Blumhouse's best works or no?
I don't know. I haven't seen that much Blumhouse movies to really care about what they put out. I know Get Out is probably my favorite movie of theirs.
I know that because I know you rave about it every time.
Yeah.
But compared to the
other, I do a lot of fucking spoopy movies about ghosts that you don't want to see.
Yeah, but I will say this though, out of all the horror movies I've seen, this is probably the least horror movie-esque in a sense. Like, it has its horror elements, but I feel like a lot of it is more like sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
Compared to horror. I feel like this is more sci-fi than horror. Because to me, this didn't really bother me.
Sci-fi horror, like sci-fi light horror comedy.
Yeah, because, like, the horror itself in this movie is very light.
Not really. It's just, like, stabby.
It's just more stabs and, like... Well, in the second one, it's kind of more graphic because you kind of see how she does the killing and stuff like that. But
I could get away with it more. That's fine.
Yeah, but...
It's like, oh, we'll give you a scene where you say fuck 2 times instead of the 1 time, which is stupid.
They got the 1 fuck.
No, they got the 2 fucks, actually.
Wait, they had 2? I thought there was
fucks.
1.
No, it was 2 fucks. I counted. Every time there's, like, a PG-13 movie, I like, how many fucks are you going to say? Normally you get 1.
But they got 2.
They got 2 fucks.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Holy shit, you bribed the MBA.
But yeah, what do you think of the franchise as a whole?
It's okay.
Yeah,
I think the concept... I'd rather watch Final Destination again, even though those movies have a lot less character and
development.
I don't care about them that much.
Yeah, like, a lot, honestly, like...
But the first and second movie are legit really
good. The first and second... Honestly, I like the second one, like, the most out of all of the Final Destination movies.
Crash scene.
Minus, like, a couple scenes from it. But I will admit, the second one is probably my favorite of Final Destination. But we already did a podcast on that.
Yeah, 2-hour podcast.
Here's the thing.
On Final Destination. And I was like, let's just watch these. And how many of them? There are 5. 5? You stay up till 3 in the fucking morning.
Yeah, but that was something we did for last year's podcast. So if you guys do want to watch that one, we do actually talk about...
We don't talk really well. We don't stay on topic on these stuff.
I know, but I'm going to say this, though. If you guys are interested in our take on Final Fantasy... Final Destination.
Wow, okay.
Because we did that
podcast. You can talk about Final Fantasy.
No, I mean Final Destination.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, if you want to hear us talk about Final Destination, the franchise for it...
Fantasy Nation.
No. Regardless, if you want to see us talk about Final Destination, we did do a podcast on it last year, so go in the playlist if you want to see that one, because we're not going to really dwell on it in this because we already talked about it. Mm-hmm. We're just talking about Happy Death Days and making a couple comparisons with it. But okay, so you like the franchise as a whole. So
it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's all right, and I think it was interesting. I liked this kind of thinking that they did with it, and I like the direction that they went with the first movie. I just feel like the second one, they could have done something a little different.
I'll see it. See it once. Probably if I am bored and we have a movie night, I'll put it on.
Yeah.
But that's really about it. There's other movies that could probably be worth my time other than this one.
Yeah, but
other horror movies.
It was a nice, interesting one to do for our podcast because we haven't done a franchise one since last year. When we did our Final Destination one.
Franchise movies, just you won't see them because a lot of them are
stuff I don't
demons and shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was like, hey, let's watch the Poltergeist movies, and you were like, no.
I don't really feel like that.
I'm like, I don't want to.
Maybe one day we'll dive into it.
Maybe one day I'll convince you that it's not real, and you can.
We'll see, but I need to get used to these horror movies before we do anything else.
I'll show you the Babadook actually next year.
Huh?
I'll show you the Babadook one.
Fine, we'll watch one next year. We'll see. We'll figure it out, but
that's legit terrifying. You will be terrified of that movie.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do, but for now, I'm just dipping my toe into horror stuff. Because I'm still kind of a baby.
Yeah, Mari's a baby, and she's going to give a lot more praise to these first movies that she watches because she does not know anything about horror.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know much about horror either. I didn't even get into it until,
college.
Yeah, college.
Yeah.
Which was how long ago?
A while ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Anyway, so... I don't really have any other questions. Unless, do you have any other questions you want to ask me about regarding this? Or because normally I have most questions, but... Or do you feel like we kind of answered all of them?
I want to watch Freaky, though.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be watching that.
That's probably my most anticipated watch that
we're doing this year.
Even though I've seen most of it.
Regardless, I am going to be happy to watch with you. Because wasn't that one of the ones you picked?
Yeah, someone with sexy Vince Vaughn.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, Let's give our ratings and be done with this.
And I mean by not the character that he plays. I'm talking about actual Vince Vaughn.
Okay. Anyway, let's give our ratings, honey. So
there's a moment where he slaps his dick, and I'm just
Jay, we could talk about that later. We don't want to talk about dicks right now.
Let's see. Completely honest, though.
Jay,
completely honest.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The writer can write about dicks. He's gay.
I get it. Oh, that's sweet, actually. But anyway, let's give a rating. You're going first, since you're being a booty. What's your rating for the franchise? First one, second one, and then the franchise as a whole.
Okay, first one, I would probably I would probably rate a 6 out of 10.
Okay. What do you rate the second?
It was surprising. I thought it was going to be bland, but it was actually really surprising. Second one, probably rate like a 4 out of 10.
You give it a 4 out of 10?
Yeah, and then that just equals out to like a 5 out of 10.
So for the whole franchise, you give it a 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So before I give my rating, would you recommend this franchise to people?
If they're curious.
Okay.
They want to see it, just for the shits and giggles that this exists. I mean, people were saying, oh, I can't believe this fucking exists. Well, guess what? Nothing exists anymore. Nothing fun can exist, apparently, because you guys are so...
That was the washer.
That was the washer.
But that was funny. That was funny timing, though.
I know. That
was funny.
Nothing can exist because that. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so, because I will admit that's funny timing. So for me, I give the first Happy Death Day probably a 7.5, actually.
I know you like him, but
I thought it was interesting. I actually was surprised. Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting. Mm-hmm. Second one, I probably give a what would I give the second one?
How memorable is it?
Probably not that memorable compared to the first one, so I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. Okay. It's deep. Like the first one is really good, and I was surprised how good it was. However, the second, it was decent. Mm-hmm. I feel like there was some stuff that they just could have done differently.
They could have done better.
They could have done it a lot better, because normally the second one is supposed to be like, better than the first one.
Yeah, that's a rarity. I don't expect the second movie to be better than the first movie.
I normally expect it, because I'm used to sequels being better than the first ones.
The fuck? What kind of sequels have you been
watching?
Shrek? Mari, I mean, like, one that doesn't come out every decade.
Besides Shrek, I'm not sure.
Exactly. So you can't say that they're a majority. Most sequels suck, okay? End of argument.
Okay, fine. Anyway, as for the whole franchise itself, I would probably give it 6 out of 10. Okay. I think it's good in a lot of aspects when it comes to, like, it being different. They take a concept and make it, like, turn it on its head and actually make it different. Mm-hmm. Which I think is great. I think it's a great idea. But if they're gonna do something like this, something that they really should have done was, like, they should have done more with, like, the second movie. Because I feel like it kind of, like, it deserved a lot more than what it did. I feel like they should have done more with it.
Yeah.
But I do recommend this movie if you're trying to get into horror and you want to, like, dip your toe in it. I feel like
if you want to dip your toe, it's not, like, for the little babies out there, you can dip your toe in this.
I feel like it's a good movie, like, franchise to start you off on trying to get into it. I feel like it starts you off, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the podcast at this point.
Yeah, that's the podcast for you. Podcast time to podcast. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we need to do, like, an intro for that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe you'll create, like, a little theme song.
Maybe one day. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast for today, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Be on the lookout for some more podcast stuff coming in the next couple weeks.
Which one do you want to do next? I guess.
I'm not sure.
Because
I might end up doing Freaky, probably.
I want to save that for last, though.
You want to save it for last?
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the other ones we picked out?
It's either Casper or Little Shop.
Probably Little Shop of Horrors. But anyway, we have 4 more movies we plan on doing stuff for.
Oh, it's 3.
Oh, wait, 3. Along with a couple bonus videos here and there. Because we combined Happy Death Day 1 and 2 as a whole. So that way we could get that, taken care of kind of thing. But, if you guys are interested in us doing more besides what we're doing right now, because we do plan on trying to do bonus videos if we have the time. If you guys are interested in seeing some bonus videos, let us know. And we will see you guys next time. I'm Mari.
I'm Jay.
What the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck am I? Oh my god, no.